Good morning and welcome to Hope, Faith, and Joy with me, Pastor Amanda. We are in March. Can you believe it? And we are continuing in Exodus. And today we're kind of moving on a little bit. We're still kind of in the nitty gritty of the details of this creating of this holy space in the wilderness. But we're going to move from the building structures to the priesthood, to the people interaction, so to speak. Well, it's not so much interaction, but what you should be wearing. We could have a lot of conversation about clothing after this chapter. So let's kind of dive in just a little bit here to kind of see what's happening in here. It begins with informing us that Aaron and Aaron's family are going to create the priesthood. They are going to be the members of the priesthood. And it tells us from the very beginning that Aaron's sons, Nadab and Abihu and Eleazar and Ithamar, will be part of this priesthood. Now, a little bit of fun information. We find out in Numbers later that the first two sons, Nadab and Abihu, actually kind of drop out of the ministry. They're not a part of this. And but we see the continuation of the priesthood in the other two sons. So, I think it's interesting how we might have something set up that's passed down to families, but it's something that doesn't always work. Children have their own ideas and own plans of what they want to do, but we do see this sense that the family was brought into this, but not everybody chose to continue on in this. But from here on, what becomes extremely important are the vestments, the clothing that the priests wear. Now, remember, it's kind of like what I said last week. These are normal people, these are everyday people, but because of the outer wear, it sets them apart. People know that they're doing the work of God right now because of their clothing. It sets them apart. And we're going to take a look at some of this. And I'm going to try to show you and talk. So this would maybe be, because let me tell you, this word ephod, it's supposed to be made of all these beautiful colors and everything. And the reality is, nobody actually knows what it is or what it looks like or anything. It kind of, in this picture, the ephod would be considered that apron thing around the front. But the reality is, nobody actually has a clue what it would be. And I have to admit, when I was reading the scripture myself, I was thinking like it was big old shoulder pads. So, you never know, but that's kind of, this is the picture that has been most accepted. So we have this beautiful ephod that the person wears. Then they also have a breastplate. So there's this thing on their chest that contains jewels and recognizing every single one of the tribes of Israel. So here, the priest, in a sense, is carrying the weight of the whole community to God. So they are that intercessor for God, but they're always aware that they are not just representing themselves, they are not just representing their family, they are representing the whole community. And so that's always very prominent and, close to their heart too. The community is close to their heart. I love that idea of it. And then it continues to talk about, what's going to be on the head covering and the multiple robes that need to be worn within this. And so that's kind of this just, that's this interesting idea of how we have to be clothed for God, and it sets us apart. And I think about this in little ways. I think there are times where we Our clothing can help remind us that we are children of God. There's little things we can do. We don't have to be full out, walking around in robes and tassels and all that stuff anymore. But like this Lenten season for myself, I put on this ring as a reminder to me that I'm on a Lenten journey and the promises that I made of how I was going to participate in this journey. And so it's an outward symbol to me to help me realize it. And it's just like in the scripture, if you would have like sackcloth on, the itchiness would remind you that you are doing something for God. You can wear a scarf. You can do something different that allows you to, it's a symbol to yourself, it's a symbol to others that you're doing something for God in this time. And it's good. That's good. As long as it doesn't become about the clothing showing off a relationship, but it's about the inward work that's happening because you have this symbol with you. And so we see that. And yes, we'll find that the priests kind of can take it the wrong way, but that's for a later date. But it does start to ask the question, how are you dressing for God? How are you making sure that you are aware of God's presence, even through your clothing and your appearance? Just something to think about. And so that's what I have today because it's all about clothing for God today. So thanks for joining me, Pastor Amanda. I'll see you tomorrow with Hope, Faith, and Joy Daily Devotion. Have a fantastic day.